Imagine slouching on the couch, eyes glued to the flicker of Netflix, and 3, 2, 1, autoplay, away for another glorious episode.
While we can take comfort in the passive act of watching Netflix, there's more to life than living from a distance. And it can be all too easy to let your evenings roll by in autoplay. If you've ever felt the weight of other people's expectations upon your shoulders, or your own expectations for that matter, you know that it can have a huge effect. It can be like someone else is trying to live your life, or like you're sitting there on the couch watching your life happen as though you're an observer, watching your lead character just go through and it's already a pre-written drama. But it's not, it's your life. You and me, we have this life that we're part of and we're called to live it. It doesn't bring out the best in us when we passively allow life to happen to us, to watch it on TV screen. One time in my own life, I was really excited about music and I was seriously looking at making a career of that and excited to travel and tour and to explore the world as a result. But at the same time, I had this rising sense of calling to lead these young people in my community, to serve them and support them. And it brought this challenge to me to face up to the expectations I had on my own life and look at how much they were conditioned by these cultural visions of success and also by personal ambition. And so I took up this call to lead these young people. I was active. I went into it. And it was hard, but it was good. It was worth it. It was a story that I was excited to invest into and to lean into. Sometimes the way forward is a different way than you expect. And to live for others, to find a cause worthy of putting yourself into, that's where it really hits the road. It's actually breaking free from those expectations, living an active life, being the writer of your own script, so that you can live a worthy life in service of something good, with other people, for the world. Having reflected on my story, I invite you to think about your own. When have you had that sense that you need to break free from letting autoplay control your life, letting those expectations from others set the agenda of your life? It's not that all the expectations of others are bad, it's just that it's really necessary for every one of us to start to take a lead in our life, to not just waste away the evenings on the couch, but actually be the creative lead. It is your life after all. And what does it take for us to get to that point where we're actually creating, when we're actually moving ourselves forward, where we're going somewhere and going there on purpose? What does it take to do that? I want to bring Jesus into the picture. I think his life perfectly captures that active, creative dynamic that I'm talking about. I want to take you way back into this scene where the unexpected happens, where convention is challenged, where the weight of people's expectations are resisted. And we see Jesus showing us how to move from slouching, autoplay, Netflix life to co-creating, to writing a new script, to shaping the future. Early in the morning, Jesus came again to the temple. All the people came to him and he sat down and began to teach them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and making her stand before all of them, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. What do you say?" They said this to test him, so that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And once again he bent down and wrote on the ground. When they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the elders, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus straightened up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, sir." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on, do not sin again." Okay, so let's think about this. The woman is brought to Jesus, and what does he do? That's the big question. Everyone around him is also doing the same thing. Remember, they are trying to trap him. So we want to see what Jesus does next. Everybody else wants to see what Jesus does next. If it was a Netflix show, we'd all be glued to the screen. And in a way we are. We're still talking about this. What is he going to do? Now, the rulers that bring the woman, the leaders, they've set up a framework for how this scene is going to go down. They've set up this sort of rule-based scenario, and they're inviting Jesus to engage in that way. But he's not playing that game. He refuses to take a this or that approach. He is actually subverting the whole situation. He's not a passive participant in his life, an observer only. He's not watching Netflix on Tuesday night. He's out there amongst it in the world. He sees the situation, and sure, you can bet those expectations are heavy. It's an intense situation of great magnitude, a situation with a lot of weight to it. Jesus is subverting, turning it around. Jesus is going outside the box for this one. The first thing he does is he bends down. Visualize Jesus bending down to draw her in the dust. In the midst of the chaos, calm, but curious, such an unusual thing to do. Why drawing in the dust? He's in no rush, it seems like, but the situation is intense. I mean, they want to kill that woman. And he's drawing, doodling, writing. I want to know what he's writing. It's a pregnant pause as what is and what is coming gets reassessed. While it looks from an outside point of view like the writing is on the wall, that we're in a sticky situation, Jesus is not content to let that be the rule of the day. So he's writing, he's doodling, he's doing his thing in the dust. He's crafting a new narrative. He's writing out a different future than the one that looks like coming. He sees the possibilities for how this show might end, and it's a different ending than any of us expected. Have you ever had one of those shows? As he doodles in the dust, Jesus is channeling Genesis energy. This might not look like anything very profound, but there's this divine spark of creativity in process. The future is being rewritten. And still the pause as they wait. What's going to happen? And what is Jesus going to say and do next? Defying convention, not being beholden to autoplay and the unthinking expectations of others, Jesus takes control of the situation and carves out different space. before rising. He who is without sin, cast the first stone. And with that incredible pronouncement, Jesus bends and continues doodling in the dust. And after a time, he stands and there's no one there. And he looks at the woman and says, "Woman, where are your accusers?" And she says, "They are not here." And so he says to her, "Go then. Go, and from this moment on, do not sin anymore." And we see this turn of events that no one saw coming, where Jesus, confronted by people in a high-pressure situation, turned things on their head, took an outside-the-box solution, to say the least, refused to be dictated to, refused to let the situation be pre-made, pre-packaged, but instead of just watching Netflix and letting life happen to him, Jesus took charge and created a new future. And it wasn't just rebellion, it was compassion. And it was pointing toward the kind of future that's worth living. A future where there's forgiveness for people, where you see real lives. He is championing with his creativity, with his ingenuity, with his outside-the-box thinking. He is championing a course of life that you and I might be inspired to take up the mantle of. That's the kind of life that you and I get to live, to get off the couch and to take a stand, to get creating. I want to move things forward. I want to take an active part in shaping this world like Jesus did. But not just for rebellion. I don't just want to rebel. I want to rebel for the right reasons. I want to rebel against that which is unworthy of this amazing life that we're called to. I want to live for something. That's the kind of life that we get to live, to be off the couch, not just autoplay, not just letting it happen the way everyone wants it to happen to us, but to take a stand, to create your own life, to write your own script. Life is like a gift that you get to dive into. I want to put my creative energy toward something, to live a life of meaning, to live a life of purpose, to live a life of compassion, like Jesus showed for that woman. Compassion, but backed up by this immense creative power, this ingenuity, this approach to resolving complex situations, which just sends your mind into a spin. Why does the world have to be prepackaged? I don't think it does. I think there's that opportunity to create, to look to see things differently, to look for a different option. Are you up for that challenge? Are you ready to go a bit deeper? Are you ready to press pause on autoplay and press go on writing a new script? I'm up for it. I'm ready for it. I think it's time to get writing.